Authoritarian regimes are causing some major concerns on the world stage. Just this week, you got China sending warplanes around Taiwan again after a phone call, or simultaneously a phone call between President Xi and President Biden. So there you have China has a huge problem with Taiwan. I think you might have heard of that. Guess what they're looking at? They're looking at how we're treating Ukraine. Are we going to back our ally or just wither? And then you got the challenge of Iran. And they are supporting Hezbollah and Hamas. And then, of course, in Syria, they had two of their Al-Quds force officers taken out in a strike by the Israelis. How are they going to respond? They pledged to do just that. And then we have the Ukraine, who are now continuing to draft soldiers because they're running short of equipment, they're running short of ammo, and they're running short of people. This is a war they should be winning, but for some reason, America has decided to stop financing. Hopefully that changes in the next couple of weeks. There are a myriad of challenges, and I would argue there is nobody better in America to discuss it. Our next guest explores this question in his new novel, 2054. It's co-written with a decorated Marine Corps veteran, Elliot Ackerman, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Admiral James Stav is in our studio. Admiral, great to see you.
Great seeing you, Brian.
I don't have to tell you anything on that map. You think about it all the time. Out of those challenges, Taiwan, again, they buzzed Taiwan this week. Are they just doing this to harass, or is this a dry run for something?
It's both, and the big date to watch is 20 May. That's when the new president of Taiwan, William Lai, will be inaugurated. What China's trying to do, number one, is desensitize the Taiwanese. Number two, it's a training opportunity for them. And number three, it's a show of force. It's all of that, Brian.
Taiwan ready?
Taiwan is ready, but will require more U.S. high-tech assistance. Here's the good news. Unlike Ukraine, Taiwan has money. It's the 20th largest economy in the world as a standalone. So they've got the money to buy the high-end equipment from us. We had to open that spigot now because that'll deter China.
They pay. They write checks.
You got it.
And they're just waiting on delivery. Can we please give it to them and let them fight their wars? What is your take on this? We don't really know what's going on, but let's take a look at this full screen. In fiscal year 2021, there were 342 Chinese coming across our southern border. It increased astronomically. Then almost 2,000 in 2022, and now 24,000 last year. We're up to 22,000 already plus this year. How are they coming here? Why are they coming here? What are they up to?
First and foremost, I'm with Secretary Pompeo, who's a very smart guy for a West Point graduate. But Secretary Pompeo got it right, which is to say, oh my gosh, those numbers are skyrocketing. It is inconceivable that within that threat stream of, say, 20,000 in round numbers, there are not hundreds of operatives of the Chinese Communist Party. And by the way, no coincidence, as Lucas pointed out, a major flow point is across the southern border to San Diego, California, the largest concentration of military force in the United States.
All of our officials are saying exactly that. When are we going to take action? And was that brought up on the phone call yesterday? Meanwhile, always excited to read your books. Your novels are based on everything that you know and projections forward for years in the military. You probably have the best resume in America. So tell me about 2054.
2054 is set in that year, so it's set mid-century, Brian, and it looks at the race for artificial intelligence, which is the most important race of the 21st century between the U.S. and China. If China gets there first, particularly as quantum computing comes online, China will be able to leverage military force. Their economy will gain massive productivity. We have got to stay in front of China. We package all that into this novel. It's a page turner about geopolitics, artificial intelligence. If you want a snapshot of the challenges of mid-century, take a look at 2054.
I know the Pentagon looked at your last book on how a war with China would look, and I'm sure Cyber Command is going to look at this book about how we win the war in AI. Last question, real quick. Would Ronald Reagan be giving arms and ammunition to Ukraine?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Reagan was able to say that and win the Cold War because he had the NATO alliance at his back. Ronald Reagan would see the criticality of giving the aid to Ukraine. He would have done it at least a year ago.
And I think Speaker Johnson realizes that, and hopefully we get that done. Admiral, it's always a privilege to see you. Thanks so much for what you do for the country, and your book is fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.